Hey, it's Seb. I'm a former social anxiety disorder sufferer and a social confidence coach. Since 2009, I've been helping people with social anxiety disorder go all the way to effortless social ease. And I do that by combining the best of traditional psychology with EFT tapping. What that is, I'll tell you in just a moment. I first want to let you know that this is a guided experience video. In this video, I'm going to have you tune in to anxiety that you're experiencing in the moment, and then we're going to apply this EFT technique in order to help you calm down a little bit. So what is EFT? Well, it stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. It's a scientifically proven to be effective technique with which you tap on certain acupressure points on the body. If you've never seen it, you're probably thinking like, what is this? That's at least what my reaction was when I first saw it. But what this stimulation of acupressure points does is it begins to calm down stuck emotions. So when you think of a painful memory, the emotions associated with it begin to come to the surface and the tapping will begin to release it. If you think of an upcoming event that you're afraid of, like a public speaking event, or even just going to work, having a meeting at work, or what if you run into someone in your village or your city and you're scared of that? When you think of these things, the emotions associated with what you're thinking about come to the surface, and then the tapping begins to release them. It is an amazing technique, and it has profoundly changed my life, and it helped me to overcome my social anxiety completely. Because when you combine the best of psychology with this technique, you can actually overcome your social anxiety completely, and it often works where nothing else has. Now, in this video, you're not going to overcome your social anxiety completely. This is just to give you a bit of an experience of the technique. Now, a little disclaimer, this generalized application of tapping that we'll be doing together will bring relief to, say, about 80% of the people that follow along with it. So if you do not experience relief by the end of this video, that doesn't necessarily mean that tapping doesn't work for you. It likely means that there are specific blocks that need to be tapped on first before you experience relief. And when you do, when you apply the tapping to those specific blocks, you will absolutely overcome these blocks, and then you'll experience the relief. EFT is scientifically proven to be effective. You can find the links below in the description box. Finally, this video is intended for people who are dealing with social anxiety. It's not intended for people who have compounding issues or severe mental health problems. If you decide to continue beyond this point in the video, you agree to take full responsibility for your own mental and emotional well-being. So I'm going to assume that either you're already feeling a bit anxious right now, so you might have like a tightness in the chest, or a little bit of a lump in the throat, or your thoughts might be racing, or your stomach is upset, or you might feel jittery. Or if that's not present, well, you might think of something that happened today or last week, somewhere in the last week, where you felt anxious. Or you might think of something that's coming up that you feel anxious about. Or, final option, you might close your eyes and imagine yourself being in a particular social scenario where you normally feel anxious. And if you need to pause the video to tune into that, go ahead. Welcome back. All right, so now that you have some level of anxiety, I want you to rate that on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 is as anxious as I've ever felt. 0 is I feel totally and completely relaxed. There's no anxiety whatsoever. So rate that. And so now that you've got your rating and you're tuned into some anxiety, because this is video, I can't be very precise and specific, of course, as to what's going on for you, but I can be general, and my guess is that you'll still are going to reduce the anxiety, either by a little or by a lot. And so what we're going to do is, first, anxiety is there because your brain is, your subconscious mind is perceiving a threat. That threat is usually not really there, right? The threat of rejection, or the threat that you're going to embarrass yourself, or you know, we often perceive threats that are not really there, or we see the threat that is there, that's actually this big, to be this big. And as a result of perceiving threat, our brain has this biological response that's millions of years old called the fight, flight, freeze response. And so there's a threat and your system gets activated, optimized to the best of your system, your whole body's ability to deal with that danger, to deal with that threat. So you fight it if you can win, you run from it if fighting is not an option, and if fighting won't win and running won't have you escape, then there's only one more option, that's freeze. You might have experienced that when you're in a social situation and you're like, and you don't know what to say and you're blank, and yeah, very, very uncomfortable situation, right? So your brain is perceiving a threat. Then as a result of that, it fires off the fight, flight, freeze response. And when that gets activated, cortisol and adrenaline, those hormones get released into the bloodstream. Your blood moves away from your digestive system because you don't have to be digesting food when you're you know, perceiving a threat, when there is a danger there. Well, when there's a wild bear about to chase after you, you don't need to be digesting food. It goes away from your head into your outer limbs, right? So you're optimally energized. Your pupils dilate so you can scan and pay proper attention to the danger. Your heart rate increases. You become hyper alert to the danger that's going on. And that's what anxiety is. And so since when you're experiencing anxiety, that must mean that your brain is perceiving some kind of a threat. We want to not just start trying to release the anxiety, but we want to acknowledge the fact that your brain is seeing some kind of a threat, and it believes that firing off that fight, flight, freeze response is necessary to optimally prepare you. Okay? So what I've learned in my 15 years of coaching is that there are 3 keys to effortless social ease. And they are acceptance. You need to accept whatever your experience is, and you need to accept yourself. Resistance, so you need to release resistance. Often, our subconscious mind wants to keep things the same. It doesn't want to change things because change means the unknown. And over the unknown, we have no control. And what we have no control over is less safe. And when you stay with what's familiar, that's safer. So there's resistance to change. That needs to be addressed. And finally, terminating triggers. So when you're in a social situation and someone looks at you in a particular way and raises their eyebrow, you interpret that to mean there's something wrong with me, something gets triggered inside of you, and you feel anxious and you feel uncomfortable. That's a trigger. Those 3 things need to be addressed. You've got lots of triggers, there's a bunch of non-acceptance, and there's a bunch of resistance. All 3 need to be addressed, and we're going to do a little bit of that within this video, starting right now with releasing some resistance to change. We're going to apply this tapping technique in order to do that. So when you just start stimulating this point here, if you don't know where the points are, just give a random tap on the point where you think that I'm tapping, and it's a very forgiving technique. You do not have to do it perfect. I know that perfectionism is a big problem for people suffering from social anxiety. I'm still recovering from my perfectionism, even though social anxiety isn't a problem anymore. So you just tap there, and then the next point is here, 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 right there, next point is here. Got these lines here, the flat there, and then it's the tippy top of your head where I'm going bald. Okay, so those are the points. We're going to be tapping over those points, and you're simply going to follow along with me, monkey see, monkey do, and then you're going to repeat what I say out loud. All right, so you've got your anxiety, you've scanned in, you've rated it on a scale of 0 to 10, and now just repeat after me and tap where I tap. Just say, I feel anxious right now. Sorry guys, it's uncomfortable. Oh, guys, I don't want to feel anxious right now. Maybe my chest is tight. Maybe there's a lump in my throat. Maybe I feel jittery and hyper. Maybe my stomach feels upset. Maybe I'm worrying about all sorts of things. On top of that, I'm feeling anxious. And I don't want to feel anxious. I want to feel calm and relaxed. Okay, now we're going to we've just acknowledged the anxiety, or we've acknowledged some of our experience, and now we're going to focus on addressing the resistance. So the part of us that does not want to change. So just repeat after me. Say, even though I feel anxiety, and I don't want to feel anxiety, some part of me doesn't want to relax. Okay, now we're just going to voice that part's opinion, if you will, or belief or idea. Yeah, I don't want to relax. I refuse to relax. I must feel anxious. On the arms, I have reason to feel anxious. Wrist point, it's not safe to relax. Top of that, it's not possible to relax. And this weird tapping thing is not going to do it anyway. Sorry guys, I can't relax. I must remain hypervigilant. Tap under the nose, take a deep breath in. Breathe out. Take another deep breath in. Hold it at the top. And then breathe out twice as slow. As you can tell, I'm doing that through my mouth, so do that again. Breathe in through your nose. Hold at the top. Breathe out through your mouth twice as slow. Really slow it down. Tapping under the arms. I combine tapping with a variety of other techniques. In particular, I specialize in intention tapping. And one of these techniques uses statements in combination with the tapping. I can't explain what it is here in detail, but just repeat after me out loud. And after you've repeated after me out loud, I can speak English. Just wait and observe what happens. Just say, I release all my resistances and aversions to change. Good. Now tapping on the wrist point. Now we're gonna focus on a little bit more of acceptance towards what it is that we're experiencing. Just say, I experience anxiety. Top of that. And I often experience social anxiety. Being the eyebrows. And it's caused me to get really upset with anxiety. Sorry guys. I have a negative relationship with anxiety. I've made it my enemy. When it shows up for me, I freak out. On some level, I'm scared of this anxiety. I release all my emotional attachments to this anxiety. Just observe what happens. Don't try to make anything happen. Just see what happens. I release all my resistances and aversions to accepting this anxiety. This anxiety is totally unacceptable. I shouldn't have it, but I do experience it right now. And no amount of fighting against it is going to resolve it. So instead of fighting, I'm going to try out a new strategy. A strategy of accepting and allowing this anxiety. I'm not going to do that. Yes, I am. I choose to accept and allow this anxiety. Okay, take a deep breath again. Good. Go back to the beginning of the eyebrows. So now we focused on some releasing of resistance. We've addressed some acceptance. We've worked on some acceptance. Now we're actually going to look a little bit at the trigger. So I want you to think about what it is that's triggering that anxiety. What are you thinking about in your mind? Are you thinking of what happened today? Are you thinking about some difficult event that's coming up, some difficult social situation that's coming up? Are you not aware of what you're thinking about, but you just notice that you feel tight and tense in your body? Whatever it is, focus on it. And tap on the beginning of your eyebrows. All right. Keep your focus on whatever it is that is kind of grabbing your attention, the elephant in the room, so to speak. And just say, I release all my emotional attachments to that. Tap on the side of the eyes. Now I want you to become aware of how your body is feeling right now. And if you already feel a bit more comfortable, great. Notice where you still hold tension. Is there tension in your face? Is it in your throat, your chest, your stomach, your solar plexus? Maybe put your hand on wherever it is that you're feeling it. So say that you feel it in your chest, very common, or in your stomach, very common. Let's go with the chest, easy for the video. That is, I'm holding it here on my chest. I don't feel any anxiety, I'm just doing this as an example. If you feel the anxiety in your stomach, put your hand in your stomach. If you feel it in your throat, hold your hand in your throat. If you feel it in your face, yeah, you can. Yeah, that's okay. You don't have to use the hand, it's an option. Then start tapping under your eyes, and I want you to place your attention on what is behind your hand. And notice the sensations of what that feels like. Okay, so anxiety is just the signal that your brain is perceiving some kind of a threat, some kind of a danger. And when you experience that physically, and not everyone does, or I mean everyone does, but not everyone can notice it easily. Most people do. It's actually something that's now out of whack. It's a survival response that you're experiencing. And so we want to calm down that survival response and bring your emotions back into balance. So wherever you notice the biggest imbalance, whether that's your chest or your stomach or your solar plexus, that's where you've placed your hand. And now repeat after me. I restore the right energy flow to this location. And put your attention on where you feel the anxiety, and don't try to do anything, just notice what happens. And as you're tuned in to whatever the remaining anxiety is, just say, I release all my emotional attachments to everything that's triggering this anxiety. Good. Now we'll mix things up a little bit in the last minute. I release all my resistances and aversions to feeling calm, present, and centered. Collarbone, in this moment, I am safe. Even if it doesn't feel that way. My arms, and I can begin to relax even more. Wrist point, take a deep breath. And relax. Good. So that's just a little taster of what is possible. Now, for some of you, this actually brought you quite a lot of relief. Some of you might be feeling calm. Some of you might have gotten a little bit relief. And a small percentage of you might actually feel some more anxiety. If that is the case, go to the beginning of the video and follow along again, or simply keep stimulating these acupressure points because it stirred something up. That's not a bad thing. You can still keep doing the tapping and it will begin to calm down that response. Okay? All right. Now, this is a tiny piece of the puzzle. This is just a little, I don't know, a little mini scoop of the pie, a little slice of the pie of what it takes to overcome social anxiety. What it takes to overcome social anxiety is learning some essential, simple psychology principles, then learning how this technique works, and then applying it to all the pieces of your social anxiety. And then bit by bit, you begin to calm down all of that anxiety, so that eventually, over time, there's no anxiety anymore. It will begin to decrease in how strong it is. So instead of 9 when you're around your boss, it's only a 6. Then just a 3, and then there's no anxiety around your boss anymore. And then how often you experience anxiety begins to decrease. So instead of feeling anxious 20 times a week, it's just 15 times a week, and then 10 times a week, and then only once a week, and then a couple of times a month, and it progressively begins to decrease. And by using this tapping a lot and focusing on acceptance, releasing resistance and terminating triggers, the anxiety will also begin to go away faster because your relationship with the anxiety starts to change. It doesn't freak you out anymore. And as a result, instead of getting anxious and it's staying there for the whole evening or the whole afternoon time that you're at work, it comes up and you have it for 2 hours, and then for 1 hour, and then for 30 minutes, and then for 5 minutes, and then it comes up and it's already on its way out. You know, that's possible. So frequency, intensity, duration of anxiety begins to decrease progressively as you learn how to apply the best of psychology with tapping to the social anxiety issues. So there you go. All right, I hope this was helpful for you. I'm going to explain exactly how to overcome social anxiety by combining the best of psychology with EFT tapping in my next video. So stay tuned until then, and let me know in the comments what your experience was. Ask me a question. I'll be in the comment section and I'll reply to you there. This is a little bit of an experiment video. I want to see if people like it, what the experience is. This is a generalized experience. I can't be specific, so I honestly don't know to what degree this is effective for you. So let me know what your experience was, whether it was an actual change, whether it got better a little or whether it got better a lot. I want to know in the comment section, so please let me know. And if you're like, well, I tried this and nothing changed, so I must be a tough case, check out one of these video testimonials of the people that thought they were the toughest cases around. This video might not be what you're looking for, but there is a solution to overcome it completely. And let yourself be inspired by that. Okay, I hope this was helpful. See you in the comment section. Bye for now.